Brigitte Gabriel, you hate all Muslims. Every breath you draw and everything you spit out of your mouth is about the Muslims. They are the bad. They are the bad, terrible people. Because you can't tell which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. Oh, Brigitte. Oh, here's your ass. Go ahead.
I am a Reva, and I was taught how to pray Salah.
That means every single time I pray,
the person who told me gets the reward.
5 times a day, from Fajr to Isha.
If you want to support someone like me in learning Salah,
then sponsor 10 people for just £100.
Remember the Prophet, peace be upon him, said,
charity does not decrease wealth. Click the button and donate now.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. If you're watching this video and it's Salah time, please pause it and go pray and come back when you're done. Please check out the description section of this video to support the channel. Sneaky Islamophobe and pro-Israel shill Brigitte Gabriel doesn't seem to fare too well on this channel. That's because instead of repeating anti-Islam propaganda over here, I debunk it. Brigitte meets the pick-me prototype of the Arab or South Asian or Pakistani or Iranian or a person from a Muslim background that bends over backwards to appease the anti-Muslim crowd for clout and to make money. These types of people leverage their ethnicity or religious background, which in reality they've abandoned to pretend that they're qualified to talk about Muslims or Islam. Their hidden agenda is to sell out their own people whilst pretending they're speaking out to build bridges or to reform their own community. If that truly was their goal, they would work with Muslims instead of publicly trashing us by repeating trending far-right or Zionist tropes to an already prejudicial brainwashed anti-Muslim audience, who they're actually scamming out of donation money. Let's watch Cenk Uygur dismantle Brigitte Gabriel's position whilst exposing her for the charlatan that she is.
So Brigitte Gabriel, she says 15 to 25% of all Muslims across the world are radical Muslims who intend to do violence against America. If 300 million people really want to do violence against America, we'd have a lot of violence against America, okay? Now, we saw how few people can cause this much damage. Imagine if there was 300 million, because there isn't. That's a made-up number. She pulled it out of her ass. As she pulls out all of her opinions, she actually has no expertise. Now, let's see how that turns out.
15 to 25% are radicalized. Now, not every single one of them wants to blow himself up, but they either support terrorists who want to blow themselves up, provide them with financing, provide them for money, provide them with logistical support.
Burn number one, okay? You hate all Muslims. Every breath you draw and everything you spit out of your mouth is about the Muslims. They are the bad. They are the bad, terrible people. Okay, 15 to 25%. What an unbelievably made up number. Saying any group is 15 to 25% bad, I mean, that's crazy. Basically, you're saying, watch out for those guys. It could be any of them, right? And she doesn't distinguish in reality between radical Muslims and everyday Muslims. The reason I make fun of her accent, I'll tell you how it connects after we watch this.
We know what is being put out. There has been a study after study of the material that have been found in different mosques across the country, and research after research, and these are factual research that have been presented to our government. I immigrated to the United States and I continued having the Middle East as my focus, and that's what I talk about. We are dealing with a radical Islamic element that wants to wreak havoc on the United States.
Brigitte Gabriel is always talking about the factual research. But she never cites it, right? I would bet her any amount of money that she can't point to a legitimate research study that shows 15 to 25% of all Muslims in the world want to kill Americans. That is insanity. That's like making that up is so over the top that it's stupid. You lose all credibility with anyone who has 2 brain cells that rub together, right? But the only reason she gets credibility is because look at her Middle Eastern accent. She's from Lebanon, so she must know. That doesn't make you an expert. Do you know how many people I know from Turkey that are far from experts on foreign policy, let alone Turkey, let alone Muslims? So Brigitte Gabriel is a Lebanese-Christian, and she hates, it appears, based on her description, all Muslims, and is worried about all of them, because you can't tell which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones, right? But she says, no, it's okay. Look at me. I am from Lebanon. I have this Father Sarducci accent. So I must be an expert on the Middle East. Apparently not. All right, one more now. This is going to talk about 9/11.
We're talking about how we can protect our country. We are faced with an enemy wishing our destruction. When those people attacked the World Trade Center, they wanted to kill Americans, Muslims, Christians, and everybody. When Zazi or Shazad wanted to blow up Times Square or the New York subway system, they were planning on killing Americans, teenagers, people taking the subways back to work or back home. They wanted to kill all of us.
And if you tell all Muslims you're all under suspicion, we think even up to as much as a quarter of you are terrorists, well, they're not likely to work with you because they don't trust you, rightfully so. If you tell them they are Americans because they are Americans, and you got to get that through your thick skull, they're just as American as you are. Any American citizen is 100% American, and you don't get to question that. Well, then we will all work together to stop these plots. 75 Muslims were killed on 9/11, okay? Oh, Brigitte, here's your ass. Go ahead. Okay, it's amazing what happens when facts run up against prejudice. For her Heritage panel audience, her accent works brilliantly. They're like, look, it's an Arab. And she says the other Arabs are bad. So that expert, right? I am telling you right now, the Muslims, they are terrible, all right? I knew it. See, Muslims are terrible. Okay, but when you go on a real program and you're faced with a real expert, you look like the fool that you clearly are.
Cenk Uygur comes from a Turkish-Muslim background, and similar to Brigitte Gabriel, who is Lebanese-Christian, Cenk is very westernized. He's non-practicing and only identifies as a cultural Muslim. However, the difference is Cenk still maintains his integrity, because unlike Brigitte, he doesn't weaponize his background to negatively stereotype an entire group of people. As he said, for Brigitte to imply that a quarter of all Muslims, which amounts to hundreds of millions of people, want to commit violence against America or the West is completely disingenuous, made up and rooted in discrimination. Yes, there are bad people in the Muslim community, just like there are in any religious or racial group, and they are not above criticism. However, these scammers that pretend that there's a disproportionately large amount of bad apples in the Muslim community than in any other community are selectively targeting Muslims because they have hatred in their hearts, which is evident from how this woman's whole shaky brand is solely based upon her demonizing Muslims and criticizing Islam, as Cenk pointed out. As he said, people like Brigitte are not experts just because of their ethnicity or religious background, or because they repeat robotic scaremongering nonsense instead of providing factual evidence for their exaggerated claims, nor does anyone appoint them as such. Like Cenk said, falsely generalizing the majority of Muslims as bad people makes Muslims not want to engage with you because we don't trust your motives. So instead of trashing us publicly and alienating us, reach out to our leaders and public figures, and we will be more than happy to work together to create a wholesome environment and brighter future for us all. As Cenk stated, the bigots love these unqualified token mascots when they flap their gums on the internet. But if these tokens were ever to debate face to face with someone armed with the facts, they would be exposed as complete frauds. The fact is, the majority of Muslims are regular people like everyone else who just want to live peacefully. The so-called extremists are a fringe minority like they are in every other community. Practicing a religion or having different cultural customs does not make someone radical. And no one has the right to demand that another group assimilate to their way of life or culture. That's a definition of ignorance and prejudice. We can all live peacefully whilst respecting each other's similarities and differences. I hear some idiots say, if you don't like the West, then leave. We like the West, hence why we want to improve it, which is every citizen's duty. While these Islam haters seem content for the West to remain stagnant and not evolve. And if you don't like that, then you can leave. I also hear these scammers get bent out of shape when anyone mentions Western colonization. Look, every other type of colonization has ended, but Western colonization continues through what Europeans are doing in Israel as we speak. And through the West, economically enslaving countries that are former colonies via the haram banking system that keeps these third world countries in never-ending debt. This is known as neocolonialism, which is the indirect control of former Western colonies through economic means by trapping them in unjust debt systems that continue to benefit former colonial powers and global financial institutions, meaning colonization hasn't ended. They just found a sneakier way of doing it. So we'll stop talking about colonization when the debt is wiped and these starving nations are truly free from being colonized and also bombed and invaded. Until then, keep expecting people turning up at your borders. Thank you for watching. Until next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.